You probably have a beef stew recipe, but it's not like this one, because this one is extremely tasty. It's probably gonna cure all that ails you and get you through these dark, rainy days. Woo-wee!
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Well, I'm not sure if it's raining because now it's the sun shining, but you gotta be prepared, man. You know, cold days are coming, it's around the corner. If you don't have a good recipe for beef stew at the moment, yeah, honestly, you're in a bit of a pickle. Don't worry, we're gonna solve all that with this. That's right, this is a 2-kilogram beef hammer, aka 4.5 pounds. I'm not using the big beef hammer like this for the algorithm. I'm using it because you're going to need it to make a really good beef stew. And making this beef stew is gonna be plenty of work, so we're gonna get started right away by slicing into the beef hammer. I'm going to cut into it. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just want to cut into that silver skin that sits on the outside. It's strong, it's tough, it needs to be cut. There we go. Now I'm going to put on some seasoning, and therefore I'll be using the Pitmaster's Texas seasoning. I'll sprinkle that on. It's salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, all the good things that you can come up with that is in this seasoning, plus a little extra to make sure that the flavors of the beef will pop later on. Just gonna make sure I sprinkle it into the beef hammer, into the cuts. And don't worry about putting on too much of seasoning because this is a big beef hammer. This beef hammer is now ready for the first phase of the cook. And therefore I'm gonna fire up my Napoleon grill. I'm gonna switch on all the burners and get it up to a temperature as high as possible. I'm gonna put the beef hammer in and then close the lid. While the beef hammer is roasting, I'm going to prepare my ingredients that I'm going to need for this stew. And of course I'll be needing some pumpkins, because pumpkins are extremely cheap and they're very, very tasty. I'm going to take the outside skin off. Of course I'm going to remove the seeds. And then cut the pumpkin up into cubes. And if you're cutting up the ingredients, make sure that you cut all of the hard ingredients at the same size. That way they most likely cook in the same time. Woo-wee! I got a little party going on in the grill here. Time to rotate the beef. Make sure we sear it on all sides so that the Maillard effect can add flavor to the beef. It's going to make it more sweet. Now, of course, I'm going to do this now. Time to cut up this bottle pumpkin. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh, I see that the bone marrow is rendering down out of the bone, creating these flare-ups. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some aluminum foil, put it underneath like that, and that will prevent it from happening because that bone marrow needs to go in our stew. Let's slow it down a little bit and keep on cutting our pumpkin. I think we got plenty of power on our beef hammer. Let's take it off and let's exchange that for a Dutch oven. Put the beef hammer in. Now I have only the 2 burners underneath the Dutch oven on. Let's add the pumpkins to the beef hammer. I'm going to make sure that besides the beef hammer, this stew is not the one that's going to kill your bank account, because we're going to add some winter carrots here. Carrots are a must-have for a good stew because of their savoriness, their sweetness. I want you to be able to eat this stew as a one-pot meal. One final veggie before this thing gets too healthy, of course, it's onions. Let's quarter these. And then it's time to add fluids. Now I chose Guinness beer because it's like a meal. If you add this to anything, it becomes a meal. As a matter of fact, you can have this for breakfast as a meal. This is not gonna end well for me, is it? So add the Guinness to the stew. That is going to be your starter fluid. Why did they put like a bowl in the beer? Why did they do that? Time to close the lid and let it cook. As you can see, this is an open stew, which means I leave the Dutch oven open. There's no lid to keep the moisture in. And with allowing the moisture to evaporate, we also have to keep adding moisture. So keep some water handy that you can top off the stew every time that it starts to simmer down. And make sure you never run dry. I recommend using some boiling hot water. Probably from the kettle is best. Just top it off to almost all the way full. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the bubbles of the bone marrow. They're cooking, the fat in the bone marrow is rendering down. It's going to be part of your stew. This is the reason why I want you to use a beef hammer for your next beef stew. We haven't talked much about flavor other than seasoning the beef hammer, but I want you to get a little pumpkin spice vibe. But I'm talking about a little bit. I don't want it to be overpowered. I'm just adding a little bit of cinnamon, like a 1/4 teaspoon at most. Nutmeg, the same thing, 1/4 teaspoon at most. And a final bit of seasoning, I'm going to add the Pitmasterix beef seasoning. 2 tablespoons is going to be perfect for a beef stew. Then close the lid again, because you're going to need at least 2.5 hours of slow boiling. In those 2.5 hours, the tendons and the beef fat is going to fall apart. That's going to be a very tasty part of a beef stew. It's been 4.5 hours and it took a little longer than expected, I must admit. About half an hour, 15 minutes to go. And I want to add the last ingredient. They soak up the last bit of moisture, make things nice and thick, and are very, very enjoyable in the autumn. Now, of course, these are optional. If you're not into mushrooms, you can just leave these out. But personally, I think they belong in a good beef stew. You see, mushrooms bring a little bit of extra umami flavor. It just makes everything pop. You just put these straight in, and they definitely don't need long to cook, so it'll be done real fast. You see, the last bit, I let most of the moisture just evaporate, so we only have a little bit left. That's going to ensure that we have a nice, thick beef stew. It is starting to fall apart. I'm going to get it out now. And it's definitely telltale signs that it's falling apart. It's literally falling apart. Oh, this is the stuff where dreams are made of. Now, hopefully all the bone marrow dripped out on the bottom side. Is just about to fall off. That's too funny. All right, there we go. Let's see if they're still... No, everything came out at the bottom. That's perfect. That's what we need. Everything is in the beef stew. The most important thing ever. All right, here is some of that beef fat. I'm looking forward to that. That turned out crispy. Hold it stable. I want to try some of that first. Crispy roasted beef fat. That was like a little bonus. Now I can just start to shred things up. Go in with a fork and mush it up. It should be very, very easy at this point. And then you're gonna get that delicious beef stew that you've been looking for. I mean, this is a meal for lots and lots of people. But personally, I'm gonna use this for my family, and this is gonna last us. I don't think it will, but it should. Now that, to me, it looks like a delicious plate of beef stew. It's a full meal. We got the carrots, we got the vegetables, we got the pumpkin, everything is there. It takes some time. It's gonna last you so long. It's gonna be so fulfilling. And if you've been working hard all day, you're gonna enjoy this. See you guys in the next video. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on grilling.